Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, wherever you may be seeing me. I am Baron Russell Fletcher, also known as Uncle Buck. Here I'm coming to you right now to talk about finance and what's gone on with the market. Today being November 1st, 2024. We just got done with October. If you celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween. For those of my friends who are of the Hindu faith, happy Diwali. Uh, Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I'm sorry. But happy holiday to you. And with us being out of October and into November, there's a thing I want to talk about real quick before I get to the list of other stuff I usually cover. Um, the last this last week while we were trading on the market, the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the Dow Jones hit a 2-month low. You know, everything's just down, and that got me to thinking. You know, why is that? Why is September and October, the worst months on the market, especially September, but it rolls over into October. And it's because people are trying to make their numbers. The big guys at the proprietary, at the big banks, at the proprietary desks, and the high-speed traders, they're all trying to make their numbers. September is the last month of the third quarter, and October is, of course, the first month of the fourth quarter. But it's also a time when a lot of bonuses and a lot of commissions and stuff start coming out, and everybody's thinking about Christmas, and what are they going to get for Christmas this year, and how much money that they have to make, and so everybody's taking profits off the table and taking profits off the table and taking profits off the table, and the problem is that when too many of us do that, it tanks everything, and then everybody panics. And then we get, a run on the stocks, and everything goes down. That's why this last week, with companies like Apple and Meta and Microsoft, announcing wonderful third quarter results, and yet the stocks were going down. Well, there's a reason behind that, and it's not because of some voodoo or anything. It's simply because the stock market was reacting to people taking profits off the table. Now, why do I bring this up? I mean, a lot of people, are either long-term investors or swing traders. I'm sure that some of you watching this will be day traders. I bring this up because we must always remember that the market can and will stay illogical longer than you can stay solvent. Which is one of the reasons why I always tell people, don't day trade. I mean, if you're going to swing trade, that's great. Go ahead, swing trade. Swing on a 3-month, 6-month basis. Give the market time to go through ebbs and flows. Day trading, all you need is a bunch of panicked people on a certain stock, and even though all the indices say that it should go up, it goes down. Then you're losing money. Unless you shorted it. Then, of course, you want that. But here's the main thing. You have to be smart with what you're doing when you get towards the end of the year. Everybody gets excited about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is less than 30 days away now. Everybody's getting excited about Christmas. Christmas is 56 days from now. For those of you who have children, they're starting to yap about what they want for Christmas, and you're looking at it and going, well, let's see here. What can I do to make money to make my kids Christmas wonderful? Well, that's when you don't want to start taking stuff out right at the end of October, beginning of November. Because look what happened. November 1st, you know, everything went up again. Why? Because everybody quit taking profits off the table. And there's nothing wrong with taking profits off the table. I mean, that's the name of the game. Excuse me. There's two ways to make money in this game. You can either have dividend stocks, which cash flow. Excuse me, burped a little bit. Sorry about that. You can have dividend stocks that cash flow, or you can buy low and sell high. Unless you're like some people I know who think that for some reason buying high and selling low is the way to do it. But we all know that's not the case. There's nothing wrong with taking profits off the table. The problem comes in when we take so much profit off the table across a broad section of the capital markets that it starts affecting the indices. And then once the indices start being affected, then everything else starts to domino effect. So just be cautious about that. When you're watching the financial news towards the end of the month in September and October, and everybody's yelling, sell, 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 that may not be the best time to sell. Especially if you don't have to. If you have to because you need the liquidity, that's one thing. If you don't need the liquidity and you can let it sit, maybe, hold on till the end of November. With all that being said, so far this year, the markets have been doing really good. Even with things going the way they are, not only in the Middle East, but with our own election, which, by the way, remember this coming Tuesday is election day. Also, this Sunday, you turn your clocks back 1 hour. If you observe daylight savings time in your area, turn your clocks back 1 hour. So don't forget to turn back your clocks, and don't forget to vote. So moving on from there, let me pull up my notes. Now, we did hear from Jay Powell earlier, and the CPI numbers are looking good. So it looks like when we have a Fed meeting in December, we're probably going to be seeing another rate cut. Now, if we see another rate cut, things are going to skyrocket. This last time when he did a 50 basis point cut, a lot of people were thinking, yeah, that's a little too much. Well, not everybody, but most people had their bets on a quarter or on a 25 basis point cut. Me personally, I had my bet on a 50 basis point cut. Why? Not because I'm a genius. Simply that I'm a contrarian. Big Mama over there had hers at 25 basis points, and of course I can't agree with her all the time. So I said 50 basis points. Even though she's right most of the time. Which I will admit, she is right most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time. So, when it came out that he did a 50 basis point cut, I'm like, yay, yay, yay! But, that's because I take my wins when I can when it comes to betting against her. But yeah, by no means was it because I'm smarter than her or I knew something that she didn't. I just wanted to be contrarian. But as we go along here, Treasury yields rose back above 4.3% as bonds sold off and investors poured money into risk assets, which is a good thing. Oil has risen again, and Bitcoin is unable to hold the line as it continues to fall. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ether, all that, remember you are playing with something that is not a registered security. And I will be the first one to admit that I own a tiny bit of Bitcoin, I own a tiny bit of Ether, and I own some Shiba Inu. And I know you're wondering, why does he own Shiba Inu? Shiba Inu has no practical purpose. And you're right, but the dog is cute. I mean, come on, seriously, the dog is cute. And it's cheap. I mean, I bought, like 60 tokens for $2. I spend more on toilet paper than I did on that. But the dog is cute. Don't judge me. I like cute dogs. Actually, I take that back. I like all dogs, even the ugly ones. Which, good luck finding an ugly dog. I haven't found one yet. Every dog I run across, oh, look at the doggy, look at the doggy, look at the doggy. I want to pet the doggy. Oh, belly rub, belly rub, belly rub. Oh, let's see here. Going through my notes here. Yeah, stick with me for a minute here. Boeing is offering striking machinists yet another new contract, including a 38% pay raise over the next 4 years. That should be interesting. Globestar has rocketed 32.38%. And Charter Communications, the bringer of, let's see here, Spectrum Internet and Charter TV and VoIP, voice over IP telephone service. They've gone up by 11.87% after losing fewer subscribers than expected. Now think about that for a second. They went up because they lost fewer subscribers than they were planning on, which is a really interesting backhanded way of saying you didn't do as credibly as we thought you were going to do. Only on Wall Street. Only on Wall Street can a compliment also be a backhanded smack when it comes to dissing somebody. But you know what? That's the name of the game. We all love it. We play with it. It's just one of those things that makes life a little bit more interesting in the capital markets. What's down? Trump Media and Technology Group dropped 13.53%. When it comes to Donald Trump's stock, one of the things that I have noticed is that it ebbs and flows with his popularity. And I'm not going to get into the politics of Trump versus Harris, but one must remember that usually you do not see a majority stockholder in a public corporation use their rival's product. Trump Media is mostly made up of Truth Social. That is Donald Trump's platform. He is now back on Twitter. Well, now it's called X. Used to be Twitter. So he's the majority stockholder of this company is using a competitor's service on a more often basis than his own. Personally, I would not want to put too much stock into Truth Social and Trump Media sticking around for that much longer. That's just me, though. I'm a little bit cynical when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not a big risk taker when it comes to stuff like that. But it just seems to me that, that's like finding out that the CEO of Ford drives a Chevy, or that the CEO of Mercedes drives a Lamborghini. I mean, it doesn't sit right. That's just me, though. Wayfair may have met earning expectations last quarter, but online home goods retailers also lost customers and fulfilled fewer orders. Their shares dropped 6.26%. And of course, we can't forget Super Microcomputer is continuing to lose ground left and right. And yeah, part of my nose, I got some allergies going on right now. I apologize about that. With Super Microcomputer going down, they relied real heavily on AI and the AI boom. And then NVIDIA came in and basically wiped the floor with them. So when it comes to technology, you're always going to have the winners and you're always going to have the losers. For some of you younger people, I'm talking about people that don't know what a 3.5-inch floppy looks like. Back in the day when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and computers required you to wear a work boot to boot them up, there were hundreds of companies that produced hard drives. And I know some of you are thinking, what's a hard drive? We got solid state drives these days, SSDs. Hard drives were these mechanical, archaic things that were sealed, and they had little platters in them that spin around at 5,600 or 7,200 RPM. They had little waggy things that would go over and read the data. I mean, very, very old school technology. But it was the best we had at the time. And there were hundreds of companies that were making these things back in the 90s. I mean, there are some places in California where you couldn't throw a stone without hitting a manufacturing plant that produced these things. But now, in the year 2024, there's only 3 companies that make hard drives. And when it comes to SSDs, or solid state drives, which is the more modern thing that we use in laptops and desktop computers now, there's only 5 manufacturers. 3 of those make hard drives, and 2 of them make random access memory and GPU memory. So when it comes to technology, it always follows the same pattern. Something new comes out, there's a whole plethora of companies that come out and they start producing the same thing, and then they slowly consolidate together. Some go out of business, some consolidate together, and then, a few years down the line, you only have, anywhere between 2 and 5 major players going. And that's just the market equaling itself out. So don't worry about it too much. If you're into Super Microcomputer, you might want to think about getting out of it. But me personally, I have not really been following them that much. I just recently come across them and across their story. I do not own any of their stock, and I have not been keeping track of them except for the last few days. So if you do own shares of them, I would suggest you go do your own due diligence and research. Just simply because I don't know that much about them except for what I've heard on the news over the last few days. Intel, the struggling chip manufacturer, doing everything in their power to right the ship. I know everybody's going, oh, Intel's going to go out of business. Intel's going to go out of business. Oh, no, 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 no. Back in the days of hard drives and processors that were measured in megahertz, not gigahertz, AMD took over the majority share of the market for a while from Intel. And I remember those days. I remember when I was building computers, We would put AMD chips in them instead of Intel's. And everybody was saying, oh, Intel's going to go out of business. Intel's going to go out of business. And sure enough, by the early 2000s, it switched again. AMD was the underdog. Intel was the major manufacturer. This is a cycle that keeps going and going and going and going with these two. It's like Boeing and Airbus. One's top dog for a while, then the other one's top dog for a while. It's the same thing with AMD and Intel. The big thing is that all computers need a CPU, a central processing unit. All computers need a GPU, a graphical processing unit. And Intel and AMD are the only two major companies that make those. For those of you who are computer savvy, and I'm talking more than just playing games on a computer or looking at Facebook all day. When you order a motherboard, it'll either be a form factor for an AMD chip or a form factor for an Intel chip. They're not intercompatible with each other. So even down to the basic structure of a computer, right down to its motherboard, whether it be a desktop, laptop, whatever, depends on whether it's an AMD or an Intel. So if you have Intel stock right now, I'd say keep it. If you have AMD stock right now, I'd say keep it. They're both good companies. I've been working with computers since DOS 5.0. Command line prompts. C:\/ with the greater sign. I've seen these cycles before. I saw it with hard drives. I saw it with central processing units. I saw it with sound cards. I've seen the development of this stuff over the last 30 years. I know, I'm starting to realize how old I'm starting to get. But the point is that in the long term, it'll be okay. They'll switch places again, and pretty soon it'll be Intel on and everything, and AMD who? And then, Intel will, start resting on their laurels like they usually do after being successful for a while. And, AMD will take over. And then everybody will be like, AMD, and they'll do that for a while, and then they'll switch places again. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. You got people on TV right now say, oh, Intel's going to go out of business, blah, blah, blah. I seriously doubt it. I saw the CPU wars. I lived through the CPU wars of the late 90s and early 2000s. And people were saying the same thing. Intel's going to go out of business. Don't buy motherboards with Intel chipsets because you don't know if you're going to be able to get replacement chipsets if the CPU burns out. Blah, 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 blah. And yet, here we are, 2024, 20 years later, going through the same thing. History, when it comes to technology, history tends to repeat itself. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds when it comes to stuff like this. AI is in that current state. It's new. There's tons of companies out there doing it. It'll eventually settle down. Coinbase, they're still having trouble. Not surprising there. ExxonMobil is still having trouble. No big whoop there. There's trying to streamline cost cutting, and while they're ramping up production, that's always a great way to do things. Oh, let's see here, and going on. Oh, sorry, it'd take me a minute to go through my notes here. Okay, coming up this next week, as far as earnings reports, we have Marriott International, Palantir Technologies, Hims and Hers Health, Brookfield Asset Management, Wynn Resorts, New York Times, Fox, and Goodyear Tire and Rubber. Tuesday, we have Devon Energy, Yum Brands, Cummins, Arch, Daniel Midland, iRobot, Trivago, and Ferrari. Wednesday is Novodisc, along with Qualcomm, Arm Holdings, Zillow, Toyota Motor, Honda Motor, HubSpot, L Beauty, CVS Health, Sunco, and Six Flags Entertainment. That should be interesting. The reason I say that should be interesting is because Hurricane Helene, hit some areas where there's Six Flag parks. So we saw what Katrina did to Six Flags in New Orleans, and sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. It really depends on how much damage was done. Thursday we have Moderna, Airbnb, Rivian Automotive, Lucid Group, Pinterest, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Under Armour, Warby Parker, Planet Fitness, Penn Entertainment, Steve Madden, Ralph Lauren, and Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme. Now there's one you could sink your teeth into. Go buy some Krispy Kreme stock, and then next time you go into a Krispy Kreme donut to get one of their donuts or a box of their donuts, say, yeah, I'm a shareholder. You work for me. See if that gets you anywhere. I doubt it will, but, you never know. You get some young kid behind the counter, doesn't know any better. He just might, throw you a smile or something. Who knows? And then Friday, Sony, Paramount Global, ICANN Enterprises, AMC Networks, and marijuana grower Canopy Growth. I tell you what, AMC was one of the meme stocks this last year, and we know where that's gone. They haven't done very well, and that's something that we need to keep an eye on in the future, as a group, as a society of people that work and look into this stuff. The whole meme stock thing really shook some people, but at the same time, there have been some bag holders that have been left over because of it. And for those people, I feel sorry, because most of them really had no idea what they were doing. They just knew that, either GameStop or AMC or Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever was being bought by this person or sold by this person or being recommended by this person. And, they weren't looking at the financials. They weren't looking at the S1s. They weren't looking at the SEC filings, or the basic financial data. Like I said, I just gotta feel sorry for the people that were the bag holders on that, because a lot of people were in FOMO mode, fear of missing out, and got in when they didn't know what they were doing and lost money. It happens. And if you're one of the people watching this, either now or sometime in the future, and you're thinking about getting into investing in stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, stuff like that, do yourself a favor. Read. Everything you'd ever want to know about a public company is publicly available. Is required to by the SEC. What they make, what they spend, who runs things. I know it's dry as sandpaper, but that's the stuff that holds things together and shows whether a company is a solid company or just a flash in the pan. So with that, I think I'm just about out of things to talk about, with this week going on. Can you think of anything, Big Mama? Cool. Well, I tell you what. If you have a birthday this coming week, happy birthday. And let's hope that as we get into November, that we do not hear Christmas carols too soon. I did read a report earlier today that they have taken Mariah Carey out of deep freeze and are starting to thaw her. Hopefully, we will not be hearing from her until after Thanksgiving. I really hope not. You know, I I like Christmas just about as anybody else, but I'm sorry. I need a break between spook and the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. I really do. That, and I will admit something to all of you on the internet. I love honey ham. I really do. Nothing better than honey ham, deviled eggs, eggnog, and good company. And if you got a fireplace, a good fire going. Best thing in the world. Really start enjoying that on Thanksgiving. You know, because by the time, let's face it, by the time we get to Christmas, everybody's frazzled. We put on good faces, but we're frazzled. Thanksgiving, everybody's still happy from Halloween, and people haven't gotten crazy yet with their Christmas shopping. So that's my thing. Well, with all that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. My name is Russell Fletcher. I am a real-life baron from the Principality of Sealand. My nickname is Uncle Buck, and that's what a lot of people refer me as. And if you've not seen that movie, Uncle Buck, go watch it. It's funny. John Candy and Macaulay Culkin. I mean, it just gets your funny bone going, especially with those huge pancakes he makes. Wish I could have one, but they're not healthy for me, so I gotta stay away from them. All right, folks, y'all have a good day, good night, good morning, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching this in the future, once I've been blessed by the YouTube algorithm, please check out the other videos on my channel. They are probably a lot more recent. And see if I've gone anywhere. In that case, see you later.